Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of the Hill Shadows podcast. With me tonight is Ashley, and I'm Jeremiah. Hopefully, everybody's doing okay tonight. If you like the strange, the unusual, the paranormal, unexplainable, hit the subscribe button. We go over encounters that people experience with these things every week. And be sure to hit that like button, it helps us out a lot. And, if you feel like doing it, share the video or whatever. And if you have any encounters you would like to share, you can send those to us at hillshadowsky@yahoo.com. And what do we have for them tonight? Do you have some interesting stuff, Ashley?
I have a story about
I got a story.
time slips.
It's kind of similar to what I'm talking about tonight too. Before I get into that, I heard about some interesting things since the last episode that I figured we should talk about. And one of the things I don't really know too much about, I was thinking I could kind of look it up right here while I'm here. It's the case of Frida Sophia. I was talking to you about this.
Yeah, okay. I don't know much about it.
I don't know much about it either, but I do know it was supposedly there was I've got it pulled up on Wikipedia right here. So Frida Sophia is a Mexican-born. This is not the same thing? Let me see. I'm not finding the right Frida Sophia because it's supposed to be a rescue or something. So let me look up Frida Sophia.
Or look up the girl that didn't exist and put her name.
Fake rescue or whatever. They said it was they blamed it on being like a mass hysteria? Mass hysteria or something, right?
How does that happen? I don't understand mass hysteria. I think that's crazy.
Maybe I might have to Google this. So if I look up rescue, it should pull it up, really. It's very interesting. The Mexico earthquake victim who never was, okay?
There you go.
And as always, guys, I will leave any links of anything we share on here down in the description. And you guys can check some of this out for yourself. So it said her plight captured the attention of the Mexican public. A 12-year-old girl trapped in the rubble of a collapsed elementary school as rescuers rushed to save her. So yeah, there's this big ordeal. They're trying to save what they said was a student at this elementary school. So they had the media was on it and everything. And with the information they got about the child, some began to identify as Frida Sophia. And some reported she was with 5 other children, and some said she had spoken to rescuers and was wiggling her fingers.
What?
But a day later, the world learned the truth. And that was that Frida Sophia did not exist. There were no children that were missing from the school, they found out. So there was nobody under the rubble. So the question is, how did the entire nation, including emergency medical workers and officials and news outlets, get it wrong?
Who was wiggling their fingers?
So it is unclear who made the first claim, but Televisa, the country's largest television network, was the first to air the report.
News network.
The news was relayed by a reporter by the name of Danielle Ditherbide, who said the information had come from leaders of the rescue teams. She was one of the only reporters allowed inside the police cordon around the building at that point. In her report, she said the rescuers had told her that a 12-year-old girl was trapped and that she had been found using a thermal scanner. Rescue teams had made contact with the child, she told viewers, and that her name was Frida Sophia. And upon looking this name up on Wikipedia, Frida Sophia is also a musician in Mexico. I don't know if she got her name from this, maybe. But, I guess later that evening, the woman interviewed rescuers on camera who spoke of a child that was trapped alive in the building. And in one of the interviews, a man who identified himself as an electrician and rescuer told her that he had heard the voice of a girl. And said, yes, some very faint voices of a girl, apparently called Sophie, he said. I asked your name, the man said. She said, Sophie, Sophie. So, yeah, pretty crazy,
Was
man.
there even a Sophie or what was the name? Frida Sophia that existed at the time that went to the school?
So from the beginning, it said they had doubts about this Frida Sophia. Some news outlets reported that her name could not be found in the school's roll book.
Wow.
And said the Ministry of Education issued an appeal for families of students who might be missing and said it had been 12 hours since the ministry had heard from anyone. Our goal was always to avoid rumors and the dissemination of false information, said Televisa in a statement. That is why we approached the Navy, which is the highest coordinating command of the rescue tasks. Says, as a result of our anxiety and expectations, we interpret the information provided by rescuers in a distorted way.
What year was this?
That's a good question. I think this, I believe this was
32
out in
years.
Was it?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Now, see, what this is the crazy thing about this story, because you hear this story and you're like, well, that's crazy. How could such a thing happen? Now, this story was 3 years ago. The crazy thing is, 35 years ago.
32 years to the day.
This was in 2017.
Oh, well, I'm reading somewhere else. Sorry.
So this would be like 38 years ago, something from now. But this happened 32 years prior to the incident I'm talking about. There was a similar case reported in a Spanish newspaper called El Pai after a devastating earthquake hit Mexico City. And I mean 32 years to the day. And rescuers spent days digging for a 9-year-old boy called Monchito, only to find out that he did not exist either. So why does Mexico keep throwing all this money at all these fake people that don't exist? I was going to read you this article as well, but I don't
Maybe it's like
read Spanish, so let me see if I can find
like a strategy to see like
let me
how
look
the
up Monchito rescue.
public will respond to
Monchito rescue. This one might be harder to find. I don't really know how to, okay, here we go. Well, this is from the September 2017
so go
story.
further down.
Okay, here we go. Boy 9 believed alive in Mexico. Quake-row. Again, we got another earthquake.
Yeah, it's the same scenario.
Exact same scenario. A building wrecked by a killer earthquake 2 weeks prior to this story. And burrowed frantically to reach the person believed to be a 9-year-old boy. The boy's grandfather at first was thought to be trapped alive with him, but a relative later said in the day that the man apparently was dead. The discovery came as U.S. Ambassador John Gavin announced that another U.S. citizen was found dead, bringing to 11 the number of Americans confirmed killed in 2 quakes that rocked central Mexico September 19th and 20th, killing thousands of people and knocking down hundreds of buildings. Mexican authorities said earlier that rescue workers found the 9-year-old boy and his grandfather buried in what had been an 8-story apartment building on Venustiano Carranza, a small street just north of the National Palace. The boy's parents were at the scene. His father, Mauricio, said his son had communicated with rescuers. He said the boy had told workers that his name was Monchito. The nickname of his son, Louis Ramon, was 9. The boy said he was lying on his back but could wiggle his arms and legs. What is it?
It was the granddad's son.
The granddad's son.
The nickname of the grandfather's son.
Oh, okay. The grandfather was identified as Louis Maldonado, was 57. The workers said they were trying to get water, glucose, and oxygen to the boy, but could not reach him. 2 tunnels were dug toward him, but both collapsed during the day, a Red Cross volunteer said. So yeah, they were trying to get to this boy, and evidently, let's see how they figure out he did not exist, right?
Yeah, because this is a lot of stuff about
It's a whole lot, right?
That he doesn't even exist?
Right, yeah. I mean, this is the same thing, right?
I'm sure, yeah.
Kind of trying to find, said, crew used dogs. Mexican crews continued digging after rapping was heard from under the rubble.
Rapping.
Said, where can I find people still USMs? I'm trying to find out where it says they found out that, like, the kid didn't exist, right? Because it doesn't seem like it really gets to it in the story I'm looking at right now.
It has to at some point.
And of course, you know, my computer's being real friendly. So yeah. But yeah, here we go. Update. The Mexican Navy. So there's no missing child at collapsed school. So this was like so what we were just reading was the initial story.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the LA Times, which is what I was reading from just now, apparently updated that after that one, and maybe I'll be able to see that. I'm trying to get to it. But yeah, interesting phenomena there. I don't know if I'll be able to find this article. I'm trying to get to it.
Either way, neither of them existed.
Yeah, neither of the people existed. It was basically mass hysteria. Very strange thing. It's a lot of time and resources put into something. I'm sure a lot of people felt like they were being played
Bamboozled.
Bamboozled. Hoodwinked. So I'll let you go ahead and get into your story as we get into time lapse. There are a lot of interesting phenomena that has to do with time, and I always had an interesting theory about missing people, and that is, what if some of the people have gone somewhere and they're still in what they think is, you know,
right,
like a
like
day-long period,
mm-hmm.
and we've moved on, you know, years and years later and think that they're lost or something, right?
I don't know. See, in my mind, I think people like that, like they've stepped into another dimension that is still like this one, and everybody's still there.
If that's true, then
and they're just living their life.
Time truly is linear and it's truly accessible, or it's not
believe.
linear. It's actually everything is always happening. It's like a movie everywhere, everything everywhere.
I've always said that. I truly believe time is like everything always is, always was, and always will be, like continuously going.
Which got
like
me
into. Rewind it and it'll be the same. Fast forward it, stop it.
Really got me into wanting to like research the whole dinosaur thing, because you hear about people seeing dinosaurs, right?
Mhm.
And that either means one of two things. It means
time slip.
That dinosaurs either did not die or they did, and people are just looking at different moments in time or periods of time are just overlapping for certain amounts of time. I mean, I've heard about that guy on the guy we watched the little documentary on, Hoodoo. Hoodoo, what was his name? Voodoo Tall or something?
Oh yeah.
He supposedly has documented some dinosaur tracks out there.
Yeah. He was
and it's pretty interesting.
And
I mean, usually, a thing about the time, or the dinosaur, the time lapse thing, it seems to have a lot to do with the paranormal.
Well, sure, it's unknown.
Yeah, I mean, I think UFOs might use. Well, we know for a fact they use time and space to be able to go so fast. Yeah. So there are ways to manipulate time.
Or we believe that, anyways.
Or
it's a theory.
It's definitely a theory. But yeah, I will let you go ahead and get into yours, and I got a couple I want to get into. One is about a dinosaur sighting, and another just kind of a freaky time phenomenon, I think. So
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
It's
hear
not the
what you
longest
got.
story in the world. And it actually originally came from Reddit, but I found an article that had a bunch of them together. Maybe a few of them are from Reddit, but that's where this one's from originally. Okay, it's called I Died Last Night, but I'm Still Here. So this actually happened last week. It just took me some time to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from my next door neighbor late in the evening asking if I can help move a mattress into his upstairs. His mom is ill and has a big, heavy sleep number bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I get over there, and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. Excuse me. I helped him figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it upstairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbor asks if I can help move an armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up, when my neighbor and his friend lose a handle on the armoire and it comes crashing down on me and I fall backwards towards the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbor asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mom. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, and this has been the first time I met him. I say, I can help with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbor was like,
I wouldn't
how'd
touch
you
that
know
thing
about the
at
armoire? I then proceeded to tell them that I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbors didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall. And I'd never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. And I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up at my dining room table.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
Well, I hear stuff like that. It makes me wonder, like, if anybody really dies, you know what I'm saying? Or do we just die in other people's realities?
Right. I've wondered that. I think
And
about
in
that
their
often.
reality, they got the chance to, like, do what this person did. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm not touching that.
I mean, this sounds more like a premonition to me.
Right, yeah, for sure. But what they're saying is it's not a premonition. They actually lived up to that point and were backtracked. So pretty interesting, though.
There's this other little story I can read really quick that's about.
Real quick, I've just read some comments about these two cases in Mexico.
Geez.
A lot of
Okay.
people are saying it's just the Mexican government. I don't know why they've done that, but they think, they did it for the last earthquake. But a lot of people are just saying, yeah, it's definitely media, but why? Why?
I think it's a way to see how the public will respond to certain situations.
Well, this one person says that sounds like this was a diversion to keep the crowd at the school while someone cleaned up a mess nearby. I wonder what other types of events were going on during these things that they would have been trying to distract people from. Hey, yeah, I was just wanting to get into that.
What do they call that? The what is it? The Kansas.
This was
shuffle?
The Sophia.
What do they call it?
The Frida, this Kansas City Shuffle.
Yeah.
I will get your attention over here, and I'll do something over there. But yeah, the Frida Sophia thing, that was 5 years ago. And I guess the other thing would have been, 32 years prior, so.
Yeah.
Something to watch out for, man. Next time Mexico has an earthquake and they tell you they're trying to rescue somebody, you're probably going to wonder if that person's real or not. But yeah, let's, you got another one? Let's go ahead and hear that one.
Yeah, it's about a house, actually. It's in Mexico as well.
Okay.
It's called La Casa de la Colina, which is the house on the hill. It says the following story takes place in the municipality of Armeria in the Mexican state of Colima. Legend tells that there was an old house on a hill where something terrible happened. Everyone in the house was murdered, and the house was left abandoned. But, according to legend, every night, the house comes back to life, as do those who reside there. Who once resided there, sorry. A foreign but friendly family that loved parties lived there. But one day, burglars entered the home and murdered everyone. The house can be seen while driving on a highway in Manzanillo. When driving by the house, it is said that cars will suddenly stop working or run out of gas, almost as if the house is luring people to it. People usually do arrive at the house to ask for help. When they arrive at the house, they are invited in because there's a huge party. The person enters and spends the night partying with the family. Then when they wake up in the morning, the house once again looks abandoned. Windows are broken, no one is there, and the person is left confused. The person slipped back into a time when the party-loving family was still alive. When the person returns to their car, it suddenly works again, but they notice that no time has passed since they left their vehicle to ask for help.
So does that mean the family is always
It's always there partying somewhere in some dimension.
Is this a real thing?
Supposedly.
Like, yeah. That's pretty creepy, man.
These are all supposed to be
they
like
should really get the word out about this place.
How
many people got to stop over and over again not knowing what's going on? But yeah, that's pretty crazy. And yeah, there's been a lot of crazy videos released this week too.
Oh yeah.
The Paul Pelosi dude, the hammer.
Oh, that was terrible.
Mhm. That was quite brutal.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine walking up to something. It would be quite confusing, right? You see them both standing there.
I'll tell you, the craziest thing is, dude was ready to die for that. Because it was a miracle the police did not just
Who? Are you talking about
shoot the dude? Yeah.
The guy with the hammer?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that was wild.
To go out.
I was not expecting to see him turn like that.
Pretty brutal, man.
Jeez.
It was the smash.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that was crazy. And on top of that, you got the dude that got killed by the cops down in, what was it, Memphis?
Yeah.
Tyree Nichols.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to him. And our hearts go out to his family. And law enforcement are really out of control these days. I mean, he seemed like a really good kid too. I mean.
Yeah, getting off track a little bit here.
For sure. I got my dinosaur story I want to get into. This is called "We Saw a ... dinosaur?" ?
Dinosaur?
Okay, so I haven't read this entirely, but let's see what it says. My wife and I frequently go to a nearby national wildlife refuge where we walk our dogs. As we were driving, we saw an animal run across the road about 10 feet in front of us. We were going pretty slow because it's common to see wildlife along the road. I expected it to be a bird as there are pheasants and grouse in the area, but when I looked at its head, it didn't have a beak. It was smooth and rounded at the mouth. I looked over its body, but didn't see any feathers. I looked at its tail because that would be a dead giveaway, but there were no feathers and the tail tapered to a tip. The tail was about as long as the rest of its body, and it ran with its head in line with its tail. I did not see any indication of wings along its body. It then ran into some tall grass. I didn't say anything because I had to have seen that wrong, right? But then my wife said something along the lines of, "Did you see what I think I just saw?" And I responded, "Was that a small dinosaur?" We described it back and forth to each other. Let's see. We had both agreed it was a darkish brown color. She immediately noticed the lack of feathers, but she also said she saw no wings and that it had little arms bent in front of its body. Yeah. It was maybe 2 feet long. We both are knowledgeable when it comes to wild animals and species identification, as it's a hobby of ours, and one of the reasons we frequent the refuge. I've had an intense interest of animals ever since I was a small child. I cannot explain what we saw. Every time we drive in that spot, I remember vividly what I saw. We both agree if the other hadn't been there, we would have thought we were going insane. I think to some degree, I must have, because there is no logical explanation I can come up with. I've looked at so many photos of various bird and lizard species, and there is just no way. I've tried to convince myself I saw something else, but there is nothing that comes close enough. If anyone else has had a similar experience, I'd love to know. The only thing we can come up with is there was a glitch in the timeline, and I guess that somehow a species of dinosaurs survived mass extinction and has remained unchanged and undetected until now, which sounds even more unlikely than a glitch.
Hmm.
And there's an edit that says, wow, way more engagement than I was expecting. So a lot of people were engaging on this thread, trying to answer questions best I can. First off, yes, I am aware that it's likely most dinosaurs had feathers, but that isn't what I saw, and I'm not going to give an inaccurate report to make it sound more believable. I was aware of the dinosaur feather situation well before I saw this creature. Doesn't change what I saw. I didn't post this looking to solve the answer of what I saw.
They didn't all have feathers.
This was at least 2 years ago. I had stumbled upon this subreddit yesterday and thought, maybe my dinosaur sighting fits here, and thought maybe some people would be intrigued. I did find an image of a dinosaur which most closely resembles what we saw, which can be viewed here. I will post that pic for you guys to check out. Now, the first comment is something I wanted to read because it just sounds like it would be something interesting to research. It says there's a series of books, The Haunted Liverpool by Tom Sleeman. He collects eyewitness sightings of weird events in Liverpool and publishes them in these books. One story was about a load of people at a beach seeing a huge brontosaurus-type dinosaur.
What?
The general consensus was that it was a time slip. Somehow, either the Liverpudlians temporarily slipped into prehistoric times,
Liverpudlians?
or the dinosaurs slipped into modern times. So that's pretty crazy, man. I want to look up Haunted Liverpool right here, because that just sounds absolutely insane. So there's a... That's awesome, man. So yeah, it's a book series. I don't know if I can actually find anything out about them, but yeah,
Liverpudlian?
Liverpudlian. That's a crazy term, right?
It really is.
I would have thought Liverpudlians. I don't know.
Liverpudlians? They're not.
I don't know.
Did they like?
This guy's a website. I'm
I
gonna
have to
check
look
it
this
out.
up. If it's really.
It's got Haunted Liverpool 35. How many are there, man? There's at least 35 of them, right? So it doesn't really have a lot of information on here. But you can definitely order the books on here.
It really is.
All
Liverpudlian.
35 of them. I would like, if anybody has any information about Haunted Liverpool, I would love to know more about this. So if you have any way I can find anything out,
Liverpudlian.
I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I've got one more, which is kind of about a little time lapse somebody might have had in real life. And I guess you can see if you can find something about the Haunted Liverpool or something. I don't know.
Oh, it's a book.
It is, but can you find any information about it? Maybe.
Sure, I can find the book. What's it called? The Haunted what?
Haunted Liverpool. I'm gonna see if there's anything on Wikipedia. Wikipedia
Yeah,
always.
it's a book.
So the
You can
list
buy it
of
on Amazon for $15.
haunted locations on Wikipedia in Liverpool there. Yeah, there's not. I mean, it's weird. Here's the haunting of Hill House. Liverpool, yeah, it's not. There's not much about. I can't find anything about that. Not about these books, anyway. Let's see if I can find like a.
What do you mean? I just pulled up all kinds of stuff about the book.
Well, yeah, like where you can buy it.
I've got all kinds right here. You can get it on audible.com.
Yeah, I found that. I'm trying to find info about it.
Oh.
I'm gonna look up dinosaur sightings in Liverpool. Because evidently they're abundant, right?
Yeah.
That's the ancient footprints found on Formby Beach, which is
I mean, I can read you what it says.
Let's hear. Yeah, I can't find anything.
Oh, my
So.
reload up.
Sometimes you just gotta add Reddit to the search, and that'll get you some information.
It just says, once again, legendary researcher and investigator of the supernatural Tom Sleeman brings you a chilling yet thought-provoking collection of 50 tales of the paranormal and haunted Liverpool 23. And in this eagerly awaited book, you will be introduced to the sinister cosmic Joker who has a cruel and deadly sense of humor, and the joke is always on you as he flouts the laws of probability and stacks the odds against you in a terrifying way. Plus, read about the ancient apparitions associated with the Devil's Woods, the creepy fate of the vanishing hippies of Sefton Park, the uncanny 3 a.m. effect, which you will most probably experience after reading this book, and read about the incredible time slips that Tom has investigated, including one where a 1970s woman found herself among naked, drug-crazed dancers in some future rave party. Plus,
I want to hear that one, man. That's crazy.
unravel the mystery of the top-secret military train that arrived in Liverpool Central Station. Was it carrying a nuclear missile? The bizarre, well-documented case of the eerie doppelgangers that menaced a Liverpool couple. The terrifying yet oh, my phone kind of glitched for a second there.
Oh, you're experiencing it in real life.
Yeah,
people.
real
It's
time.
happening.
The terrifying yet inexplicable reports of werewolves at large in Liverpool. The weird story of Renshaw Street's faceless ghost. Who was he? A sinister case of a real-life skeleton in the cupboard in the Anfield district of Liverpool. The unfortunate... It's got all kinds of stories. That's what... I mean, this goes on.
Well, like I was saying, there are 35 books.
Yeah.
I imagine it covers
Oh, yeah, there's 35 of them.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
this one? Oh, this one's 23 that I'm reading. Sorry.
Liverpool's got some stuff going on, man.
I didn't realize there was...
I might get more into that location and some things later.
I would like to get some of the books and check them out.
That's something I'm definitely interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've always loved dinosaurs. When I was a kid, I used to want to be a paleontologist.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But then I realized I like dinosaurs way more
archaeologist.
than I like bones, and I don't know.
I just found some
would have been cool though.
spookiest stories in Liverpool.
Was this like actual accounts that people have given?
Kind of. So, there's something called Mackenzie's Tomb. Well, here, I need to write this down because I'm, like, the website, just so could put it where I'm getting this from. Here, I'll write it down a second. Mackenzie's Tomb, Bloody Acre, Bold Street Time Slip, the Ford Mushroom, St. James Cemetery, Newsham's Park Hospital, Spec Hall, James Street Railway Station, and Rodney Street. Let me read the one that's about the Bold Street Time Slip real quick.
I was just getting ready to look at that, man. That's crazy.
All right, let's read this real quick. Have you ever wandered down Bold Street and suddenly found yourself in a different time? If you answered yes, you're not alone, because there have been 100 reports of time slips on Bold Street since the 1970s. The reports have come from seemingly sane people who believe they have traveled back in time when walking down Bold Street or its surrounding streets. One of the most well-known stories is from 1996 about a man called Frank, a police officer who claimed he was walking from James Street Station to meet his wife on Bold Street. However, as soon as he reached the street, he realized something was not quite right, as the people appeared to be dressed in 1940s or 1950s clothing. He was so surprised by his surroundings that he was nearly run over by a 1950s van that bore the word Kaplan's. A shocked Frank crossed over the road, expecting to find Dillon's bookstore, which was located on Bold Street in 1996, but instead was stood in front of a haberdashery shop named Cripps. Upon entering the shop, Frank was relieved to find a modern-looking girl standing in the shop, carrying a Miss Selfridge bag. Afraid of his surroundings, Frank grabbed the girl's arm and asked if she could see what he was seeing. With a quick shimmer of the store, Frank suddenly found himself standing in the foyer of Dillon's bookstore. Whether Frank's story is a work of fact or fiction, we will never know. But can 100 people's reports really be dismissed?
I was thinking 100 is a strangely even number of sightings for...
Just let me say this real quick. That story came from signaturesliverpool.co.uk.
That wasn't from Reddit?
No.
Because I'm looking at a Bold Street, Liverpool time slip
So
on Reddit.
I've heard this story before. Actually, I think I watched like a little video thing that had like
Not sure what this
little
is.
images of the street on it too.
This says Bold Street, Liverpool, time slip central, caused by
Well, yeah, they said
circular
there's been.
underground railway system.
That's what it's caused by.
I don't know.
Why?
It says,
How?
by now many of you have heard about Bold Street in Liverpool, where dozens of people have experienced time slips. Liverpool time slips, Bold Street. Let's see, it's just different links, I guess. Oddly enough, if you look at the tube map or the subway for the Liverpool Underground Railway system, you will notice that these high voltage rails form concentric circles, the center of which is roughly under Bold Street and over to Brooks Alley. What's also odd is that for the time slips reported, most people go back in time to the 1960s or 50s, although some of the later stories seem to go back to the turn of the 19th century, but none before the Underground Railway was built. It was electrified in the 20s. So this person's theory would be that you would be able to go back to where it was, to the time it was built, but not before that, correct? That's an interesting
what they're saying
theory.
is that
all time is accessible.
No, what? No, they're saying that there had never been any documented cases until the electricity things were put underground.
Well, no, they're saying that most of the reports people go back to the 50s or 60s.
Right.
And some the turn of the century, which
so it's still
dates.
all in that time frame. But were there cases before it had been put in place, or did this all start happening after?
Maybe it happened because of the voltage, right?
Right. That's what. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm.
That's interesting, man. I mean, if that's the case, and you're looking to time travel, maybe Liverpool is your next vacation destination.
Have you ever had a time slip? Have you ever had anything that seemed...
The only time that I think I may have been close to some kind of time slip was when we were kayaking on the Kentucky River, and our inflatable kayak got a hole in the side of it. I don't remember the hole happening. I just remember we were kayaking, and then we had
I remember meditating.
Yeah, we did. That's right. Yeah.
Laying there like...
Yeah, and then,
I don't know how it happened. It was very strange.
And then we just had a hole in a kayak. I don't remember.
It was an inflatable kayak. Let's say that. It was before we.
And it looked like I'll tell you what it looked like. It looked like a staple was poked in the side of it. Mm-hmm. It had two little holes.
That was quite an interesting trip back down the river.
It was, yeah.
I was trying to blow it back up.
I gotta say,
I had a band. We were supposed to have patches with us.
You got 3 chambers on those inflatable kayaks, and 2 is enough. Thank God 2 is enough.
I kept enough air in it.
But yeah, we were also
like... all right. Yeah. It was getting pretty low by the time we got there.
That's not the place that you want to be.
I cannot even
that though, honestly.
Explain
It's a very deep part of the river. It's some pretty intense water through there. Yeah, it's not the place.
It was terrible.
Needless to say, we upgraded to full shell kayaks, so it's not happening again.
Do you remember,
we're floating now.
So the same day that happened, you remember that little island we pulled it up to to try to find patches and stuff.
I remember exactly where it's at, actually.
Something hollering at us from the woods down there? Not hollering, but like.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
There was some kind of noise or something that came like.
Well, I mean, if you recall, like the cop there had a picture of a huge footprint.
It wasn't a cop. Well, he's a cop, but at the time he was a
park ranger.
Park ranger.
There at the state park, Boonesboro.
It showed us the footprint of what he believed to be Sasquatch.
And this was weird because it was like we were just getting into that, like looking into stuff like that.
That was a very weird feeling. That whole day was strange.
So yeah, there's something in Daniel Boone National Forest.
And it was weird because the time frame that print was found was right after all those floods. Like the park was closed for over a year, I think, close to a year.
Time, It's we need to go back. I really I love kayaking out there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
I do have
It's
some
sketchy a little
footage of
though.
us out there, but I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to look for it. I've got so many files on the SD
Right.
cards. It would take me forever. I would rather go back out there and make new stuff, which I plan on doing. But anyway, I've got one more I will read before we
Okay.
get out of here tonight. This one is called "I Experienced a Real Life Time Lapse." This was posted on Reddit by the user. What does that say?
You need
Havoc
glasses, dude.
D Ball. I do need glasses. There's no doubt about that. I remember a lot of things from my childhood, and most of my memories would have to be in my grandparents' house. One that has always stuck with me was the one night my grandmother fell asleep without me being next to her. I was on the computer playing some basic education game for young kids, and I'd just gotten done with one of the levels I was stuck on. I had decided to call it a day and started walking to the bedroom. Usually at this time my grandma would be reading her Bible or something, but she must have been extra tired this night because she was sound asleep. This is where it all began. I remember it was around 10:30 p.m., which was pretty late for me at that time, so I was ready for bed. I was in the hallway looking at my grandma and noticed that she had fallen asleep with the lamp on. I was about to wake her up and tell her she forgot when I kind of decided to just keep quiet and watch. I looked at the blinds on the window and noticed the shadows of the trees outside moving at a quick pace. I watched the shadow of the whole tree itself rotate across in a smooth fashion as the shadows of the leaves danced along. The lighting outside began to dim at a noticeable rate and then brighten as the sun flew past the top corner of the window. After the sun had finished rising, I could hear the birds chirping. The lamp was no longer on, and I do not remember it ever turning off at the same time. I never moved a muscle during this time, so I saw everything. My grandma never moved either. And then after all this happened, I remember shrugging it off like it was no big deal, hopping into bed, and not being tired anymore. The thing about this time lapse event was that, although it doesn't make sense, I was not standing in that spot for 10 hours. I was only standing there for like 10 seconds. It felt like I was temporarily removed from the timeline and just fast forwarded to the next day. I know for a fact I didn't stand in that spot for hours on end. I also know it wasn't a dream because I remember the next few hours of that day. It says next few hours. I was lying in the bed trying to sleep, but I genuinely wasn't tired anymore. I was probably lying there for about an hour until I decided that I didn't need sleep that day and went downstairs into the kitchen. No one else was awake yet, so it must have been a weekend and somewhat early because they would have work in the morning and I'd go to daycare. I remember walking into the kitchen and seeing a huge spider, not the size of a tarantula, but maybe like the size of a $50. It was it was beige and didn't have any hair on it at all. I thought it was super ugly, and I watched it crawl across the kitchen floor and under the oven. I remember standing there for a good while waiting for it to come out from under the oven so I could see it again, but it never did. I ended up running upstairs into my mom's room and trying to wake her up. I kept telling her about the spider while she was sleeping, but she obviously did not care. Anyways, I was persistent and eventually she came downstairs with me, didn't see anything, and went back to bed.
Hmm.
The first comment says, "Gotta lay off that peyote, bro." So,
He was a little kid.
yeah, I don't think this kid was on peyote.
Huh.
Somebody
Okay, so
said, "I
what was
suspect
it
you went to
happened
sleep and
exactly?
dreamt of what you've just done after getting off the computer." I don't know, man. Dreams are pretty vivid. Let's see what some other theories are.
Could be like lucid dreaming. Tell me, what was it exactly that happened again?
Well, it was basically they were standing there and
Okay.
they could see the sun go across
Right.
basically like the night
They
took
watched
place
time.
while they watched
Okay.
in like 10 seconds the whole night.
But the grandma didn't recall it or anything?
I'll tell you what, that would be a nice thing to know how to do. There's been many nights that I wish I could have just, bam, let's get this over with, man. But you get into that, and have you seen the movie Click? I know you've seen Click because I've seen Click, and we've seen everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you see the trouble he gets in with fast forwarding and everything. So
Yeah. Time
ends
just
up
goes
missing a
on.
lot. You don't want to miss nothing. Every moment holds a valuable lesson. I really feel like.
Did you hear about the doomsday clock now is the closest it's ever been to Armageddon?
I don't think about stuff like that, man.
Well, it's a thing that we really have.
I'm just playing. I do. It kind of freaks me out. Like I was just listening about the pole shift the other day. I'll let you hear that. About how apparently this has happened before.
It's at 90 seconds to midnight.
What is it? 90 tonight?
Doomsday.
90.
Midnight is doomsday on the clock, and we are 90 seconds to midnight of it being doomsday.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense to me. Where is 90 seconds at?
It's just a way that they determine like how close we are to doomsday.
The thing about the pole shift is like they don't think anything's gonna survive that, which is apparently why they claim that there have been advanced civilizations in the past and we can't find any evidence of them, because they say that this pole shift has it happened so many tens of thousands of years, whatever, hundreds, I don't know how, millions, whatever. But
and
it
we're
happens
like
so frequently.
of years due for it.
And we're thousands of years overdue for it.
Yeah.
And what happens is, I think, the earth itself will stop spinning. But the wind, the air, the ocean, and everything will continue to move at the same speed.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll create like a 2 mile high.
Yeah. Waves.
Yeah.
They say not to worry about it, right?
What good's it do, man?
I mean, but you should worry. They say that it wouldn't be like catastrophic, but it's apocalyptic.
Right. There would be a surviving population that might be forced underground.
Yeah.
But it's not likely that any of us living in a city or anything are going to be part of that. I guess it's possible, just depending on where you happen to be during such an event. But yeah, the wind, the waves are going to come crashing through so fast that it's going to wipe out and not only that, the waves wipe out every man-made structure, but apparently the sun will remain where it's at, and it'll create heat like we've never experienced. Right. And flip side of that, it's going to create like an ice age on the other side.
And this will go on for 6 days. And on the 7th day...
How weird is that?
That is...
It happens in 7 days, and it's done in 6, and the 7th day it rests.
Yeah.
So, you know what Genesis said about God creating the heavens and the earth? He did it in 6 days and rested on the 7th.
Well, if you're going to go about biblical things too, he also says that he won't ever destroy anything.
He's not going to flood water. Yeah, he already did that. He's not going to do that again. But he might destroy some with water. We know he's got many options.
Anywho, on that
note, I think Armageddon is a good spot to end it and pursue the rest of our weekend. We weren't able to record last night. We usually do this Friday night. It's Saturday night.
Wild day.
It was our daughter's birthday yesterday, and
in a house full of kids.
It was work. It was fun, but it was a lot of work getting ready for it and during it. Yeah. So it's taxing in my older age as I get.
I slept like a rock last night.
I did not. Man. My sleep is my sleep happens in intervals. Some days I sleep well, others not so much. But I feel like tonight tomorrow's Sunday, so I'm gonna do some resting then.
Oh,
but hopefully don't do that, man. That's contagious. Yeah, people don't want to listen to that. You're going to make our listeners tired. They'll be getting sleepy.
Well, it's at the end.
Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been our 35th episode. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you are. Every subscriber we have, we're so grateful for you guys. And thanks for supporting us. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.